Job security is something that everyone strives for in life, and if you are in the entertainment industry, a disorganized sector where most people equate their success to being at the right place at the right time, security is an elusive concept. This is an industry in which associations change every Friday. One's financial position alters dependent on a box office hit or flop, and in an environment that is, for a lack of a better word, incestuous, even personal changes in one's relationships alter professional opportunities. This element of the film industry, where individuals unceremoniously get chucked out of projects, has been going on since its inception. Very famously, Madhubala and Dilip Kumar had met on the sets of the 1951 movie Tarana. The duo did several movies through the 50s, where their alleged romance blossomed, only for B.R. Chopra to sign the duo for a movie titled Naya Daur, for which, after 10 days of shoot, they had to go for an outdoor shoot in Madhya Pradesh. Fearing that more time would eventually lead to their union in marriage, Madhubala's father forbade her from going on this outdoor. This was uncalled for, and as the director wanted to carry on the film with someone else instead, a case that Madhubala and her father eventually lost. While the grounds on why she wasn't allowed on this outdoor has differing versions, one being health reasons, Dilip Kumar in court testified in favor of B.R. Chopra, something that deeply strained their relationship, leading to the movie being completed with Vijayanti Mala instead. A chapter in film history that caused such trouble between the two people, one finds it absolutely miraculous that they ended up shooting for Mughal-e-Azam while apparently not uttering a single word to each other off camera. With this small anecdote of what possibly goes down on film sets, I want to specifically talk about instances where actors were removed from big projects. The reasons range from professional and monetary differences to absolute curveballs that the talent never saw coming. I can't believe that we made a video on the fiasco that possibly went down with Deepika Padukone and Sandeep Reddy Vanga with Spirit and getting replaced by Tripti Dimri, but the last few weeks have opened another can of worms that I just had to shed light on regarding Kalki 2. I want to refrain from mentioning the infamous case of Kartik Aaryan leaving a project like Dostana 2 and how that created an environment of animosity and a mini war briefly with him and Dharma Productions, which has been since resolved, because I still don't understand the grounds in which that project was absolutely abandoned and since seems to have plans to be revived with an entirely different cast. So getting right into the video, here's Tried&Refused Productions with 10 Bollywood actors who got removed from movies out of nowhere. Sridevi. One of the most successful Telugu films that became a global sensation was Bahubali, and with the movie having grand plans with its re-release at the end of October this year, chatter about the movie and its impact has taken its own wild shape on social media. While the waves the film caused is undeniable, everyone became curious about the what-if situation when Boni Kapoor recently sat with Komal Nata on his talk show Game Changers, where he spoke about why Sridevi did not end up doing Bahubali. This was for the role of Sivagami, which was eventually played and immortalized by Ramya Krishnan.
These producers were the culprits who fed Rajamouli with wrong things. I am a witness to that and I can say it on the producer's face. Because in one of the interviews, Rajamouli said she wanted the full floor of the hotel, she wanted this entourage to travel. I said, kuch nahi tha.
This further made people dig up the receipts of what possibly may have gone wrong during the negotiations. In a Telugu talk show, S.S. Rajamouli had claimed that the monetary demands from Sridevi were far too high for the film.
7 or 8 crores remuneration అడిగారు. ప్రతిసారి వచ్చినప్పుడల్లా some 5 business class tickets, 3 హోటల్లో బిగ్గెస్ట్ హోటల్ ఏదైతే అందులో 5 సూట్స్, తర్వాత హిందీలో ఏదో పర్సంటేజ్ ఏదో అడిగారు. Going too much.
Sridevi herself had conveyed in an interview that the manner in which her stance was being portrayed by the director on a public platform was unethical.
కానీ ఇలా అయ్యింది అని చెప్పటం పబ్లిక్ ప్లాట్ఫామ్ లో I think it is not in good taste.
While the reason why Sridevi did not end up doing the film seems to be simply financial negotiations reaching a standstill, it's tough to imagine anyone but Ramya Krishnan in the role of Sivagami when you look back at the epic saga. Kareena Kapoor. My formative years of watching Hindi cinema were in the mid-2000s, and this is also the era in which actors were absolutely unfiltered about their thoughts on what they felt about others in the industry. One actor who exemplified this unfiltered attitude was Kareena Kapoor, who would ruffle feathers consistently. Her debut film was supposed to be opposite Hrithik Roshan in Kaho Na Pyar Hai, a movie that she unceremoniously left and instead ended up doing J.P. Datta's Refugee.
My first film was supposed to be Kaho Na Pyar Hai. I didn't do that. I had guts to walk out of a film and take a non-conventional role like Refugee. And film didn't do very well at the box office, but still, the audiences liked me.
While the accounts of whether she left the project or was removed from it differed dependent on who you ask.
She didn't back out. Mr. Rakesh Roshan, from what he told me, was that he asked her to leave the film. The set was ready. And how will you find a Sonia in 3 days?
It was definitely a bold move in the formative years of one's career. However, the most fascinating anecdote is not even this, but her ending up losing a role of a lifetime with Kal Ho Na Ho, a role that eventually went to Preeti Zinta, purely based on monetary reasons. Karan Johar very candidly in his autobiography, An Unsuitable Boy, stated, "My first problem was with Kareena. She asked for too much money and we had some kind of fallout at that time. Mujhse Dosti Karoge had released, directed by Kunal Kohli. She said, Aditya Chopra's assistant Kunal Kohli has made this flop. So Karan Johar's assistant, Nikhil Advani, is not to be trusted either." Further going on to elaborate on the reason why the fallout happened. The weekend of Mujhse Dosti Karogi's release, I offered her Kal Ho Na Ho and she asked for the same amount of money that Shah Rukh Khan was getting. I said sorry. I was very hurt. I told my father, leave that negotiation room, and I called her. She didn't take my call and I said we're not taking her and signed Preeti Zinta instead.
I don't know what I went through. I think that every human being just goes through something that, I don't know, I guess it was greed or I don't know what it is, but it was definitely something that was wrong, which I realized. Not now that the film has become a huge success and whatever it is, but what I really missed and what I really was upset about was that I know I did wrong to a friend. I know I did wrong to you.
Sharman Joshi, one of the most underrated talents in my opinion who doesn't get enough attention from mainstream media is Sharman Joshi. I have very fond memories of watching reruns of Style and Excuse Me on television, terrible movies that are carried by Sharman Joshi's comic timing. However, as the years have gone by, we see very little of the talented actor, and this is especially surprising for an artist that has been a part of commercially successful projects like Golmaal, Rang De Basanti and Three Idiots. It was quite alarming to see Sharman Joshi not to appear in the second installment of Golmaal, reprising his role as Lakshman and being replaced by Shreyas Talpade instead.
My manager was negotiating. I think some egos were ruffled and it came down to me not doing the film. But I said, it doesn't need to come down to this. Right. But then I guess it was already too late.
Since the negotiation fallout, Sharman Joshi has not appeared in any of the Golmaal films, and it's somewhat heartbreaking to see him just play inconsequential characters in Hindi movies like we saw in Sikandar this year. Aishwarya Rai. With the success of movies like Josh, Mohabbatein and Devdas, the pair of Shah Rukh Khan and Aishwarya Rai was celebrated amongst the masses, and what was envisioned, as is the case with anything that works, is that you work consistently in the future. However, it came as a shock to Aishwarya Rai when she was unceremoniously removed from multiple projects in one go, to what some people owe to personal equations that translated on the film sets and acted as a hassle for film scheduling. Aishwarya Rai is someone who since the start of her career has never publicly clarified any rumor mills that float around, making one only assume what may have gone down, but she was visibly upset about the turn of events that happened during what was considered to be the prime of her career.
At the time there was talk about a couple of films that we'd be working in together, and then suddenly they weren't happening with no explanations whatsoever. I'd never have the answer to why.
Many people considered this to be an unfortunate time where Aishwarya, for no fault of hers, was more or less boycotted from the film industry, where those in positions of power actively removed her, a sign of how oscillating the nature of this industry may be, that you can go from being the top star of the industry to being absolutely sidelined, something for which Shah Rukh Khan was deeply regretful, but the adverse impact on Aishwarya Rai's career was undeniable. Saif Ali Khan. If you want to look at a man who had an absolute whirlwind of a career, especially in his early phase in the 90s, it is Saif Ali Khan. An actor who is known for his ability today was massively trolled for his squeaky voice and lack of range as an actor, mostly only staying afloat because of the hit music that was associated with his films. Saif in multiple interviews has spoken about being grateful for his first movie getting cancelled due to budget constraints, traumatized on the fact that his producer at the time used to give him a a weekly allowance for 10 kisses in exchange. He ended up landing up a project for his debut film after the fiasco called Bekhudi and was removed from the same project because he was just so terrible at the job, being eventually replaced by Kamal Sadana.
Rahul Ravel cast me in his film.
That's Disaster 2, isn't it?
That's Disaster 2. Kamal Sadana is in the movie, so he threw out Kamal Sadana and took me for no fault of Kamal's, and then found that I'm much worse, and then threw me out and took him. And then Kamal and I became friends.
The replacement that I believe unanimously hurt the most for audiences is when Saif was removed from the Race franchise and Salman Khan took over. Saif talks about holding no grudges but had expressed how the producers still wanted him to be a part of the project, but not as the lead, but to portray Bobby Deol's character, which he outrightly rejected.
So I had to give it a miss. But they didn't deny it to me. Maybe the role Salman Khan played was denied. But I still don't want to destroy anyone. I love Ramesh ji and all of them.
Hearing rumors that Saif may do Race 4 is the producers waking up and smelling the coffee that they shouldn't have changed anything about the franchise in the first place. Nusrat Bharucha. I think we have spoken about multiple times on how one consistent and frustrating feature of Hindi cinema franchises is how casually female actors are replaced as the IPs become popular. Kajal Agarwal being replaced by Kareena Kapoor in Singham, Ileana D'Cruz being replaced by Vani Kapoor in Raid, Rimi Sen being replaced by Kareena Kapoor in Golmaal. While most actors refrain from opening up regarding the unfair practice, mind you, Ileana came out publicly stating that she could not shoot the film owing to raising a family. The unceremonious nature of Nusrat Bharucha getting chucked out of Dream Girl 2 and being replaced by Ananya Pandey is a classic case of nepotism privilege that just cannot be denied.
नजर में ही नहीं आया कि ये गलत हुआ, तो मैं क्या बोलूं? 2 साल पहले हुआ था ना ये, तो क्यों नहीं किसी की आंख और नजर में ये गलत आया? Why has your video gone viral now, 2 years later? भाई पिक्चर रिलीज होके कास्ट होके अपना बिजनेस करके खत्म हो गया.
When you believe you can't be replaced and you hear through news outlets that there is a new casting, it must be heartbreaking to process. Pariniti Chopra. One of the most interesting what-if situations regarding casting has to be the choice of Sandeep Reddy Vanga roping in Pariniti Chopra for the role of Gitanjali in Animal, which eventually went to Rashmika Mandana. When the first announcement had dropped, everyone was very curious about Sandeep Reddy Vanga's choice. But what's even more interesting is that he had originally envisioned Pariniti to also play the role of Preeti in Kabir Singh. Sandeep Reddy Vanga removed her from Animal owing to feeling like the character would not suit her, and it was carried out in a rather unceremonious manner, because of which Pariniti Chopra was upset.
I didn't see Gitanjali in her. कुछ characters कुछ लोग को set नहीं होता है शायद वो. I said sorry, like nothing is bigger than the film, so I'm taking this decision.
This hypothetical just makes my imagination go wild of what could have been the trajectory of Pariniti's career if she ended up doing both the films. Katrina Kaif. Everybody speaks about the infamous Bollywood feuds, but no one really talks about that at one point of time, John Abraham and Salman Khan were beefing due to what went down years ago regarding what could have been Katrina Kaif's first movie. John Abraham, having been roped in to do the Anurag Basu directed film Saya opposite Tara Sharma, had, according to Salman Khan, removed Katrina Kaif from the project, the original choice of the movie.
जॉन इब्राहिम साहब ने एक बहुत लंबे अरसे पहले कटरीना को एक फिल्म से निकाला था.
This is something that becomes a point of contention for Katrina years later when making the choice to do New York opposite John Abraham, apparently still holding on to the grudge that he had a say in removing her from Saya. John, on the other hand, explained publicly that he had little to no power to call the shots in the industry at that point of time, as he was getting launched at the same time.
I was a newcomer, और आज के तारीख में भी और उस टाइम पे भी डेफिनेटली उस टाइम पे मैं कभी ये रेकमेंड नहीं कर रहा था अपने डायरेक्टर्स को, अपने प्रोड्यूसर्स को कि हीरोइन को निकालो, हीरोइन को डालो फिल्म के अंदर.
Why Katrina was removed from the project still seems to be a mystery. Taapsee Pannu. A little known fact is that Taapsee Pannu was originally supposed to be a part of the cast starring Kartik Aaryan and Ananya Pandey in Pati Patni Aur Wo. Yes, you may have already assumed that Taapsee was replaced by Ananya, owing to what most people assume regarding the nepotism upper hand in the industry. However, she was replaced by Bhumi Pednekar instead, all after Taapsee had been locked for the role and given her dates for the project. she publicly called out the producer, stating that such practices were unethical.
You can't tell me that I don't know how to get rejected. I've been rejected countless number of times in last 8 years I've been working. So I know how to take rejections, but this is not the right way.
The movie turned out to become a box office hit, and when Taapsee was promoting Sand Ki Aankh with Bhumi, she gave the media another sense of trivia that many people did not know about.
She was doing Manmarziyan, I ended up doing it. I was doing Pati Patni, she ended up doing it.
Deepika Padukone. This video obviously would not be complete without the entire fiasco regarding Deepika Padukone and what has gone down with Kalki 2. What's most fascinating is that commentators are coming up with their own conclusions of what may have gone down versus representing quotes from the actual people involved. People are posting interviews of Aamir Khan and Sanjay Gupta while they talk about entourage costs, suggesting that the anecdotes of being a horror on set and front-loading costs on producers all point towards Deepika Padukone and Ranveer Singh. And while these descriptions can be best described as blinds, the shots are obvious. You can still understand there being a negotiation fallout with Spirit, a movie that is a new story altogether. However, it was shocking that a prominent character like Sumati, played by Deepika Padukone, has to be replaced, as the sequel will of course be a continuation of the tale. The statement by Vijayanti Movies was especially shocking because they categorically stated that Deepika Padukone won't be a part of the sequel, specifically stating that a film like Kalki deserves that commitment and much more, making the theories go wild among people of what may have gone down. Bollywood Hungama reported that the makers took the decision after Deepika demanded a 25% increment in her fees and also 5-star accommodation for a team of 25 people. The source further stated that that's not all. She put her foot down on shooting for just 7 hours a day. They also tried to negotiate finances, given that even Prabhas had not asked for an increment in fees. She and her team apparently refused to adjust on either. While Spirit just could have been one among many projects that actors leave, this seriously became a pattern that one couldn't ignore of how Deepika was losing projects she was an integral part of. While Deepika did not give a public statement, she posted a photograph with Shah Rukh Khan while on the way to a shooting schedule of King, writing, "The very first lesson he taught me almost 18 years ago while filming Om Shanti Om was that the experience of making a movie and the people you make it with matter far more than its success." Obviously taking shots at the makers of Kalki. What, however, this entire fiasco made me think about was the quote given by Simi Garewal during one of the conversations with Aishwarya Rai, in which she said, "In the absence of confirmed fact, gossip and rumor is sanctified as the truth and history is recorded." The fact that Deepika doesn't have a clear statement about what went down makes only the rumor mills go wild. Both big Telugu projects going away from her and her doing the Atlee project and King only makes me wonder what really went down in these meetings. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below whether you have some video ideas for our channel. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram. The handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.